It's a motherfucking go baby, go baby, go baby. What up, everybody? It's your boy Coco. Welcome back to another episode of Chaos Child. If you're new to the channel, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. And if you're already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that like button. With that being said, let's go ahead and hit that intro, and we'll get things started. Alright, now I gotta get TQ Vegito Blue Awakening. Nice. You have the LR TQ Vegito? I need to well, UI Goku is not really UI Goku, is it? Isn't that just it's not mastered? Yeah, it is Ultra Instinct, but it's not mastered Ultra Instinct. We still need a mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. I want to see that. Because the one we have only taps into part of the Ultra Instinct, but it's not the mastered Ultra Instinct, right? From what I've seen, at least. I mean, I could be wrong, but... Alright. Other Vegito is STR. It's a complete UI Goku. The master is that he can activate it on will. Yeah, but it's not like a... I mean, I guess. I remember the one that it was. It was, well, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's just because in the anime he looks a little bit more different. I keep forgetting. Alright. Let me go ahead and turn this music off from my phone, because that way we can actually pay attention to the game. So last time we were playing this, we left off, there was a crime scene in a hotel, which was the third crime that happened in Shibuya, and they went over the events that happened back in Chaos Head, which was a couple of years ago, and they pretty much are going over the same thing. They think they're pretty much making a hypothesis that the same events are happening all over again, and we're pretty much trying to figure out what the detective says. There's a detective who came in and figured out what's going on here, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen with the rest of the scene and the gameplay. So let me go ahead and get that started, and we'll go from there. Last time we ended up leaving right here. There you go. Alright, this was in the hotel room.
Shinjo-san, 所持品と防犯カメラの映像から親族に裏取れました。
Go ahead, eat a lot of shrimp, no worries. Shinjo, we've managed to ID the victim from his possessions and the security cameras.
死亡したのは柿田博則。
His name is Hironori Kakita.
更新でマーケティングのアルバイトをしていたようです。
22 years old, a Shibuya resident with a part-time marketing job at Koshin.
更新でバイト?
A part-timer at Koshin? Any lovers?
いません。
None. No roommates
一人暮らしだ
either.
ったようです。
He lived alone, it seems.
くそ。 It would take time to figure out his private life. And Koshin was one of the companies that had profited the most from the recovery projects in recent years. Part-timer or not, if he worked there, he was probably pretty busy. It was possible that his co-workers knew just his name and nothing else but who he was outside of work. Shinjo-san,
Shinjo, what do we do to tell the media? Kayomi TV and Nikoniya's net reporters are refusing to leave.
And those two kids we found at the scene, who said they are with the Hekiko newspaper club? They've calmed down, but they're still not making a lot of sense. That other girl doesn't have anything that would tell us who she is. We're checking if she's a friend or relative of Kakita's, but no luck yet. She's refusing to say anything. Well, remember, she had blood in her eyes. Our main character, he ended up having blood in his eyes too. Something happened, he collapsed, but we'll see what's the whole deal with this. Also, forensics wanted to know, hey, you can't just... This is Watabe from Nikoniya News. Excuse me, what's going on here? Get out! You can't come in here without permission. Just a brief comment. A brief comment is all I need. Shinjo's men physically dragged the reporter out of the room. He had to stop himself from putting his hands to his head and moaning. He couldn't let his men see him acting weak. Shinjo had been with Police HQ Section 1 for less than 7 years. He didn't get along with his superiors, but he'd managed to beg his way into being in charge of this case. Maybe this was his way of avenging the death of an older detective who he'd admire. Once you're done looking at the window frame, make sure it can't be seen from outside. There's no telling what those net reporters will do. Yes, sir. Shinjo apologized without thinking and for no clear reason. He always felt like a naughty child when he spoke to the CEO, who happened to be a woman. You know why you're so exhausted. It's because you're taking this so seriously. You should relax a bit like they did. I've got no intention of copying their habits. You're so serious, aren't you? If you keep on thinking that's a virtue, you're going to have a bad time of it one day. Momose, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. Shinjo cut her off before she could continue her lecture and gave her a brief description of the scene. This was a violation of the rules, but the only way to solve a crazy case was to be a little crazy yourself. That was the first thing he learned from that older detective. So, is it murder or suicide? Momose asked her question after he's described the situation. She cut to the heart of the problem. We're not sure right now. The hotel had gotten suspicious when Kakita had never come down after checkout time. When more than 10 calls to the room went unanswered, they had contacted the police. 2 officers as well as someone from the hotel had gone to the room and found the body and an unconscious girl. One of the officers stayed at the scene to keep it secure and the other searched the hotel to make sure it was safe. During the search, he'd forgotten to lock the employee's entrance in the back near the stairs. That was how the 2 students from Hekiko had gotten in. Shortly after he'd left the room, the girl woke up and started strangling the officer who'd stayed. He'd hit his head on the edge of the glass window and knocked himself out. He was going to be fine, but he'd been out cold until backup arrived. When the backup got here, they found the girl unconscious on the floor. A boy from Hekiko was passed out on the floor too. The other girl from Hekiko was throwing up, also on the floor. Kakita's cause of death was asphyxia via strangulation. The wire around his neck was kinda used at construction sites. It had been hung in an X pattern from the lights on the ceiling, and he'd been sitting on the bed as it rotated. That's why there was so much pressure on his neck that finally his head had been severed. From the estimated time of death, Kakita had passed away before the police had even been contacted. The body on the bed kept spinning in time to the music, 1 rotation every 2 minutes. In the end, the man's head is a bit of a problem. What about these kids from Hekiko that got inside the room? It seems like it was pretty traumatic for them, so at first they wouldn't say anything, but now they're starting to talk. But they're from Hekiko, and that place has some issues. He checked with the school and verified that they were part of the school's newspapers club. The security camera at the rear entrance had seen them coming in, which matched with their testimony. But he didn't know what to make of their testimony that the door had opened on its own or that someone else had tried to come into that room. The door was equipped with an automatic lock, and the only person inside the room who could have opened it was that girl. But there was no sign of her fingerprints on the door. And security camera in the hallway showed no signs of anyone else trying to go in. In any event, it was extremely rare for a civilian to see a dead body outside of a funeral. And in any unstable mental state, it was extremely easy to imagine things or just outright be mistaken about what was going on. If they turned out to not have any relationship to Kakita or the girl, He planned on letting them off with a stern warning.
結局のところ一番大きな手がかりは部屋に潜
Our
んでいた
biggest
その子なんです
lead
が
is the girl who was in the
何も
room,
喋りません
but she's not talking.
そのままだと悲観値が
She's probably going to be put under psychiatric hold at this rate, right?
はい
Yeah,
そうなると
but
大幅に捜査が
that will
遅れる
slow
ことにな
down
る
the
ので
investigation a lot, so I'd rather not go that route.
分かったわちょっと
Got it. Let me get some information spread around.
新庄ちゃんの立場
Given your position, this is probably going to be pretty rough for you. So be ready, okay? I'll call back in 3 minutes.
助かります
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Shinjo went to hang up the phone.
あちょっと
Oh, wait.
はい
Yeah?
そういえばお願いが
Actually, I want you to do something for me. I'm sure it'll be a big help for you too. Can you do it? So it was basically an order then, Shinjo thought to himself.
何ですか
What is it?
この件に関して
One of my kids knows more about this than I do, and they say they want to see the crime
してる
scene.
んだけど
Personally,
お願いできない
can you help them out?
部外者を
You want me to let an outsider into a crime scene?
いつだって物事を解決するヒントは
Give you the hints you need to solve the case. After all, I'm an outsider too, she continued. In his head, Shinjo went over the steps he'd have to take and the time required to take them.
明日いや
Can it be tomorrow or no? The day after?
さすが新庄ちゃん
That's my Shinjo. Glad we could work this out.
よくそれで
I don't know how you manage around the rest of those hardheads in Section 1.
ではよろしくお願いします
Alright. Talk to you later.
あちょっと新庄ちゃん
Hold on a second, Shinjo, would you? He barely stopped go open the door. It was my mom. She forgot her keys. But anyways, we're back. Let me go ahead and continue where we left off. My apologies for that. So anyway, she gave him two conditions. She said he has to take them very seriously. So the first one was, you need to relax a little. Don't take everything so seriously. That was the first advice she gave him. I'm sure a lot of things are about to happen that will be beyond your understanding. When that happens, your worst enemy is what you think you know. I'll make sure to remember that. If that was a serious answer, you'll still got a long ways to go. And the other thing is, Momose paused for a second and chuckled. Don't let my kid get the better of you too often. If you let your guard down, you'll end up an outsider yourself. September 30th, 2015, Wednesday. So what Momose was saying here kind of applies to real life as well. Sometimes we cannot take things too seriously when it comes to either our jobs, our school. I mean, we definitely have to be responsible and go in, with a steady mind with what we do and with a purpose that we're going to finish our main goal or objective. But sometimes when you take things too seriously, it affects the people around you. It affects your work. And sometimes whatever you're doing may not come out the way you want it to come out. And in the end, you'll just be like, damn, I should have relaxed a little bit more. It avoids stress, and that way you get a better outcome in the end. At the Love Hotel, but he had no way of asking about it. Damn it. Damn it. The school's so peaceful. Barely anybody's talking about. Groups that have gone over the budget. Accounting says it's not in yet. Kurusu frowned as she realized her mistake. Sorry, I'll send you an email with the lists. ASAP, okay? Before the teacher goes home. Well, I gotta do 3 more Azure missions, Awakening Medals for TEQ Vegeta Blue. I think I have him already. Is that to get him to 120? He does pretty good damage. He does good counters, by the way. Kawahara ran off before Kurusu had time to answer. And before he was given out of sight, Kurusu had booted up the PC and started to tap at the keys. What?
Yeah.
No, it's nothing. Which of us is more obvious? That's what Ito was about to say before he stopped himself. Normally, it was impossible to imagine Kurusu not doing her job. They're both worried, obviously, for their friends, especially after the police. As she finished her task. Then suddenly an unpleasant sound filled the room. The fuck? screen.
そうでもなかったみたい。
Evidently not.
Huh?
Huh? Kurusu chuckled and took off Kazuki's headphones.
カズキ、私はゲームやらないから。
Kazuki,
詳しいこと
I'm
は
not a
わ
big
からない
gamer,
け
so
ど。
correct me if I'm wrong, but
この家の壁に
is there a
向かって
reason
延々と
you're
火花出してるの
continually
は
flinging
何か
fireballs
意味があ
at
る
the side of a house?
すごい勢いで燃え
That
広
fire
がっ
is
てる。
spreading really fast. She's playing an MMO. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I'm gonna look into it after the stream. Kazuki looked back at the screen with a stunned expression on her face. She yanked the headphones out of Kurusu's hands and quickly put them on, then started to pound at the keyboard.
落ち着きなさい。
Calm down and either swallow that squid or spit it out. What are you doing now is bad manners. Kazuki may or may not have heard her because she struggled with her game for a while and then she froze like a toy whose batteries had run out. The squid she'd been chewing fell out of her mouth and landed on the desk. She stared at it for almost 30 seconds as if something impossible had happened. Then she silently stood up and staggered over to the shelf where we kept the electric coffee maker. Her face had turned pale.
カズキ、大丈夫か？
Kazuki, are you okay? Kazuki nodded in answer to Ito's second question and started to make coffee with shaking hands. There is, I don't want to spoil it, but in Chaos Child, not Chaos Child, Chaos Head, which was a couple of years before this incident, it explains why, Kurusu and the main character are pretty much close. Kurusu froze. She lowered her gaze as if searching for answers in her coffee cup. What about you? You seem pretty interested in it yourself. She seemed to be trying to change the subject. I just like this stuff.
こういうの？
This stuff? Weird murder cases and stuff, but still, running into a crime scene like he did yesterday was... That was going too far, he continued. Kurusu silently took another sip of her coffee. She seemed to be staring at a single point in the distance, lost in thought. it was clear that while she was seeing the things around her, none of them held any meaning to her. Looking at her scared Ito a little. Was it really that big of a deal?
別に言いたくなければ
If you don't want to tell me,
そういうわけじゃない。
that's not it.
きっと基本
I'm
的に
sure
は
that
伊藤君と同
basically
じ。
Takuru's the
学
same
も好
as
きだもの
you.
こういうの。
He likes this stuff. What up, Nani? Welcome to the stream, my boy. How you doing?
それに危なっか
And
し
he's
いところに
always
首を突っ
liked
込みたが
getting
るのも
involved in
昔から
things
だ
that
し。
were dangerous. I see, Ito said.
小学校からだっけ
You two started living together in elementary
あいつが副部長と一緒に暮らすようになったのは。
school, right?
ええ、
Yeah, that's right.
正確には
A
被
little
災し
after
て
the
少し経った
earthquake,
から
to
だ
be
から
precise.
中学生に上
Just
が
about
る
the
か上がら
time
ない
when
か
middle
の
school
時
was
だけど。
supposed to start. So like I mentioned before, back in Chaos Head, Takuru and Kurusu used to live together after the earthquake incident. Kurusu and Miyashiro were both what people called earthquake orphans. So if you don't remember, when the earthquake happened, a lot of parents who worked in this tower ended up dying, and these kids ended up being by themselves, unfortunately, so they were raised together. They'd both been in 6th grade when they lost their parents to the earthquake. Since they had no relatives to take them in, they'd been sent to the same group home, the localized small-scale children's welfare facilities Aoba Dormitory. We're doing that on Saturday, but the contest already closed. Like, we're done with that. The last day to submit that was yesterday. So we're done with that already. We're just gonna go over it on Saturday so that everyone has a chance to look into the stream and whatnot and vote. Even back then, Miyashiro had a habit of being curious and getting into trouble.
だいたい天の弱だしね。
Saturday, correct.
みんなとは違うってよく言ってるでしょ。
He's just a little brat, you know? He says all the time that he's different from everyone else, right? Even though that's not true. She spoke like a parent worried for her child's future.
でも結局あの子は
But in the end, he...
お疲れ様。
Hello, everyone. Oh, I didn't think I'd see you here, Kurusu. We're gonna check them out on
連絡があったんで
Saturday.
すか？
Did you hear anything? The club advisor, Wakui, was quite relaxed as he came into the room. Kurusu quickly stood up and rushed over to him. We'll make another contest. I'll let you guys know in the Discord when we have. After this Saturday, we'll be done with that, and then I'll let you guys know if we're gonna have another contest, maybe with different memes this time. He nodded and motioned for her to calm down.
ついさっきね。
Yeah, just now.
大丈夫そうでしたか
Is everything okay?
それ
Huh?
はもちろん。
Of course.
伊藤君、
Hey,
すぐに体
Ito,
育館に行きなさい。
get to the gym now. Wait a minute, what the fuck? What's going on? Why is he going to be alone with
体
Kurusu?
育館
Huh? The gym? Why?
軽音部が今
The
から
Light
リハーサ
Music
ルをする
Club says they're about to do a rehearsal. It should be good footage for the culture festival. Kurusu's expression froze, and suddenly it changed.
涌井先生？
Mr. Wakui?
連絡って
Is
それ
that
ですか？
what you heard?
そうだよ。
Yeah, that's right.
なんだよ
What's up,
クリス君、機
Kurusu?
嫌がいいね。
You look so happy. Oh,
先生には機嫌がいいよう
I
に見
seem
え
happy.
ますか？
To you? Oh shit.
行ってくる
I'm going now. You should come with me.
ちょっと
Huh? Wait. Sensing a gathering storm of violence, Ito pushed Wakui out of the door. What the fuck happened? The fuck? What was she upset for? Kazuki had looked up, but now she slammed her head back on the desk. Now that she was all alone, Kurusu took out her phone and checked it. There was no message, of course. She sighed and looked at the board. That incident yesterday at the Love Hotel. Whether it was murder or suicide, from the way Miyashiro and Onoe had looked when they'd been taken by the police, something had happened. Miyashiro had said it had something to do with the incident 6 years ago. Now that it had happened 3 times, there was no ignoring it. No, it was too dangerous. She couldn't let him get more involved in this. She thought back to Ito's question about why Miyashiro was so interested in this case. Kazuki was still lying with her head on the desk. When she turned her head to the side, for some reason, she looked like she was enjoying herself. When Kurusu saw that, she suddenly lost her desire to drink the coffee. Apologizing in her mind to Kazuki, she decided to pour it out at the water fountain. She headed to the upstairs water fountain, which was usually less crowded. She found herself looking down at the gaps between the tiles as the sound of her footsteps rang in her ears. She could tell she was walking slower than usual. Essentially, Kurusu was lonely. She remembered what she'd said to Miyashiro when he woke up in the clinic. I'm Nono Kurusu. Call me by my first name. We're family, so it would be weird to call each other by our last names, right? In case you didn't know, in Japan people call each other by their last names, so that's just how it goes sometimes. In the end, he just wants to pretend that he's special. She knew why, she supposed. The event that had caused him to leave the dorm was still bothering him. November 7th, 2009. This way, please. Come this way. I'm telling you, we can get around from the back. How many times do I have to... Save us, someone! Why won't the phones work? I wanted water. I yelled, unsure if Sarika could ever hear me, and started walking. I just needed to get to the hospital.
What the fuck was that image?
No, that was the earthquake that happened a while ago. That happened back in 2009 in the game, 6 years ago. He was just having a little flashback. So what ended up happening is, after that crime scene, the detectives took them in and they took them to the police station, and they said they were going to release them if they had no connection to the person who was in there who died. The person's last name was Kakita. There was another girl who was in there. They didn't know what her connection was, but they said that she had a psychological disorder that ended up strangling one of the policemen, but the policeman fell unconscious. Her eyes were bloodshot, and they didn't know what her connection was to the guy. There were no fingerprints, no nothing, no evidence that she was connected to the crime scene, but yet she was still there. So now I'm assuming this is him waking up in his own place after the police had released him. And there was a scene in the school where, Kurusu and the other kids that were in the club were trying to, go on about their lives, trying to figure out if they heard anything about these two, about Sarika and Takeru, but they haven't heard from them yet. I leapt up. I quickly glanced to the left and right as I tried to calm my racing heart. I saw that I was in my own bed. Remember, they're orphans. They don't have anybody. As far as Kurusu goes, I'm assuming she has her own place where she stays. But as far as Takeru lives in this little... I felt a little like throwing up. I hoped another drink of water would help, but it didn't. Damn it. He's remembering the crime scene. I thought for a moment and then decided to turn on the room lights. I turned on the laptop. I ran a search for urge to vomit lessons, food, drinks. The internet gave me a page after page of results. I checked a bunch of pages just like you're supposed to when you're looking something up. Ginger, huh? I guess I've got that kakonto that Chan gave me.
Damn, they were you in a gangbang? No, I'm not in a gangbang. What the fuck?
Quotes in girls' bathrooms. Throw kindness around like comfort. Today is, if you ever feel powerless, just remember that a single one of your public hairs can shut down an entire restaurant.
That is true. That is true.
I looked under the sink until I found the kakonto powder, then poured it into a cup and added some hot water from the electric kettle. It had a strange smell unlike anything I was used to. I took a sip. Ginger is not supposed to taste that well when it doesn't have any sugar in it. It tastes a little bit bittersweet, if that makes sense, because it's a root. But cooked under the right conditions, it could be tasting sweet and whatnot. So just a little curious fact. I could tell that my hands were shaking a little as I held the cup. Damn it all. It wasn't the first time I'd seen a body. I checked the phone again and saw that there were several messages from Sarika and Kurusu. I went to answer but stopped. They were probably still up but didn't feel like talking to anyone. It felt like the air I'd breathed in at the Love Hotel yesterday was still deep inside me, along with the cheerful melody of the music box and the red that covered my vision. I felt something strange on my cheek and put a hand up to feel it. It was a bandage. I'd gone to some kind of clinic at the police station where they put it on. They told me I must have it hit my face hard on the floor when I passed out. I was unlucky enough to scrape my cheek against a piece of the shattered glass. Thankfully, it wasn't a big wound. It barely hurt at all. But it itched like hell. And each time it itched, the shock it felt came rushing back and quickened my pulse. The danger was long gone, but it still couldn't forget the terror. Had I almost been caught up in something horrible? Some geisha dragonfly sending me your nudes and what the fuck? How? Fetus deletus? How did they escape? So the way they escaped, the policeman showed up. They showed up just in time before things got more weird. The way Takeru ended up passing out was the girl came up to him, she looked at him with her eyes bloodshot, and he passed out. Sarika was throwing up on the floor. The cops came in. Remember, the door wouldn't open. Somehow they were able to open the door. They found out the lock was automatic. And when the cops came in, they found them. So they weren't able to escape on their own. The cops took them in. And by now you figured out they let them off with a warning. They found out they had no connection with the crime scene or the person who died. But that still leaves the mystery of who that other girl that was lying on the floor is, and her connection to the guy that died, who lost his head. No, I was fine, right? I wasn't like everyone else. I wasn't an amateur. I'd gone through that hell I just dreamed about and survived. Okay. So Takeru thinks he's special. I don't know if you saw that flash scene when him and Sarika were younger in the earthquake scene. He thinks he's special, obviously because of everything he went through during that day, you know, of the earthquake, and he survived all of that. So he has this this complex feeling of feeling that he's special more than anyone else, and thinks he can survive or deal with anything more than anyone else in Shibuya and whatnot. Why couldn't Sarika hold the door open and shit while Takeru filmed? That's the thing, they were caught up in the situation and they had to close the door thinking the cops wouldn't come in and get themselves in trouble, but that backfired, as you saw. And maybe having that nightmare again was good for me. I managed to force down the urge to vomit, then clicked away at the computer. I opened my computer's TV program, changed the channel to a news program, and watched it on my monitor. A few months ago, I'd bought a USB TV tuner off a homeless guy who had no idea what it was worth. All it cost me was a dinner at a local restaurant. Just like I thought, there was an article about the events 2 days ago. All they said was that a man's body was found in a Dogenzaka Love Hotel. They didn't say whether it was suicide, murder, or just an accident. There was nothing about the girl who'd been found at the scene, or about me and Sarika. I see. I figured this was what I'd get. I'd never experienced for myself the gap between what happened at a crime scene and what was reported on TV, but it didn't really surprise me. These days, the internet was a lot faster than reporting things than TV. To people who followed the news online, TV wasn't a place to learn new things. It was where you went to see if something you'd heard about was so important that it was getting TV coverage. What about the people online? I closed the TV program and opened a browser. Nikonia News had something on it too. I clicked on the uploaded video. Remember, Nikonia is kind of like YouTube, at least in Shibuya, I mean. Another incident has occurred in Shibuya. This makes for 3 strange incidents so far. I think it's hella clear that this time it wasn't suicide. Coco streamed for another hour of this, else you ain't a true fan. And no, we're almost done. It's been an hour already. You might have to see it again. I'm gonna play Black Desert after this, actually, just to get that out the way. Just like always, it was a Watabe, the attention-seeking internet reporter. He was famous for charging into crime scenes to get scoops. Lately, he seemed to be getting a little too cocky. He explained what had gone on in the Love Hotel as the video showed pictures that he had probably taken himself. Either way, I think the police are hiding something. The only announcement has been that a body was found, but if that's all, then why would...
What the fuck? I have not played Dokkan in a while, but I'm gonna try to make time to play this week. I already did my daily logins. I'll try to do it this week. And then, like always, he started to mix in his own subjective opinions with the news. He was right, the police were hiding something, but there was little point in listening to the rest of this. Vague information would just get in the way. The new generation. So this, you see on the video, it says the return of new generation. What is new generation? Back in Chaos Head, what ended up happening 6 years ago, before the earthquake, after the earthquake, there were a series of crime scenes that were just like this, and pretty much made things a little bit weird because crime scenes were happening and they were very grotesque crime scenes, and it appears that they called them the new generation, and now it's happening all over again. We're gonna find out. I mostly ignored Watabe's voice as I looked at the video on the screen. He must have gotten it by charging into the hotel room. What the hell was all that? I thought back to what had happened. A man was strangled to death in his room. There was an unconscious girl and a police officer there as well. The girl was the most obvious suspect. Even if she chose a strange way to do it, she still must have killed him, right? No, if she had definitely killed him, then they would have announced that. She was arrested just like I was. Over 30 hours had passed. Even if they found out she was innocent, they should have announced that. The police believe that the girl with him may know something and are proceeding with their investigation. Like that. Did the police think that she didn't do it? Then what was she doing in that room? And even if the police had told me during the interrogation that I'd imagined it, I knew what I'd heard. Someone else had visited that room and knocked on the door. The sound was eerie and always had the same rhythm. The contest is going to be on Saturday. Wednesday we're doing the memes, Wednesday we're doing the Vines reaction. No problem. Wednesday we're doing the Vines reaction. Just let's watch Vines and memes stream. Saturday we're doing the memes contest. I felt a cold chill and idly turned towards the door. Ah, shit. My room was the same as always. There was no sign of anyone approaching it. I listened carefully to see if I could hear anything outside. Don't tell me they come to his door. Get the fuck out of here. Nothing.
Come on. You're worrying too much. Ah. That's right, crap. It was a new day. What about the pundits on the internet? I quickly opened another site. Shibuya News. This was the private news site I trusted the most. It was always updated at midnight every day. The quality of the news and the reliability of its updates made it far more useful than the TV or the mass market sites. Online news was faster than TV, but of course, some sites were better than others. There was no end to the number of wrong-siders who would treat the net as a single entity that was the opposite of TV. The TV says one thing, but the internet says something different, they'd say. If you asked me, they were utter morons. These days, even a lot of the larger sites online aimed for the same mass market the TV news did. It was critical that you find out for yourself which sites could really be trusted. Just like the name implied, Shibuya News dealt with the goings-on around Shibuya. It was similar enough to our newspaper club that everyone in the club knew about the site and used it regularly. Its owner, Kei, was, how to say this, very skilled at getting and sharing information and seeing its effects. She carefully calculated when to send and when to receive information. A lot of child and grandchild sites use Shibuya News as their parent site. Most of them were privately run news sites as well. As a result, a huge number of people saw the information that Kei spread. To put it more unkindly, Kei was manipulating them. Anytime Kei wrote about a popular shop among high school students in Shibuya or a free smartphone app, I would hear people at school talking about it within a few days. Take, for example, the Twitter user that most of Hekiko Academy followed, HekihoBot. It described itself as a bot by Hekiho students, for Hekiho students. But from the number of times it would show up on Shibuya News, my guess was that it was actually run by Kei. Kei was one of the few people I recognized as a right-sider. When something important was going on in Shibuya, first you checked the TV news to get the basics, then the mass market sites to see what was the net was saying. Then you would go to Shibuya News for the latest information. This was the way the newspaper club and myself specifically would always look for information. I figured they'd be broadcasting. The quality of the news wasn't the only reason that Shibuya News was popular. One reason was that Kei appeared to be a girl. When someone was thought to be a girl in real life, they got a lot more hits than someone who was thought to be a guy. That's so true. Nani be getting the swamp from Shrek. What the hell? And the other reason was, and that was a contract of blood to seal our sin by Phantasm. This radio broadcast. Whenever there was something big she wanted to report on, she would always do an internet radio broadcast. It offered proof that she was a girl. Her voice was calm and pleasant to the ear. A lot of people just listened to her broadcast. The audio from the leaky noise case that I'd played from Kurusu had actually been modified by Kei to be easier to understand. Okay, normally I don't play Phantasm, but there's a reason I've chosen it today. You're all aware of the death of a man in his 20s in Shibuya Love Hotel yesterday, right? Like always, Watabe at Nikoniya News was there to tell you all about it, but I chuckled a little. His glory hogging was a running joke among Nikoniya News viewers. But there's something he didn't notice. Phantasm released this song 6 years ago, and you all remember what happened then, of course. That's right, the Shibuya earthquake. But before that, there were also the strange events called the New Generation Madness. Special Victim Units
dun dun. The fuck? Thank God Kurusu is best waifu from this. Kurusu, well, yeah, you can say that. So just to recap a little bit about what happened in Chaos Head, the New Generation Madness was the series of deaths that happened before the actual big earthquake happened. So what, trying to connect the plots and not to spoil it too much, what they are assuming is going to happen at this point is that more death crime scenes are going to happen, and eventually, what do you think is going to happen again? They're afraid that another earthquake might occur after a series of deaths occur in Shibuya, which, I'm not going to spoil it. We'll see if that really is going to happen or not. It's called foreshadowing. I was startled. That's right, crap. I'd forgotten after all that happened at the Love Hotel. No way. Some of you have already noticed, right? The Don't Look at Me case on the 7th of September, and then Leaky Noise on the 19th, and now this new death yesterday. Or more precisely, 2 days ago on the 29th. The dates match up with the incident 6 years ago. In that second, the Twitter stream that was linked to the broadcast lit up. It was overflowing with comments. The next date is October 10th, the date of the vampire case. My beloved citizens of Shibuya, please take care. And that's all for tonight. Arigatou gozaimasu for listening in. This has been your host, KokogamingYTV. It will soon be 12:30 a.m. on October 1st. I pray you spend tomorrow in a way you won't regret. She signed off in her usual way and the broadcast ended. She got me. I feel like she finna die next. Chill. That's right. That hypothesis was why I'd forced my way into the Love Hotel. And something had happened just like I thought. After 3 such incidents, it was only natural to assume that there might be a connection. The New Generation Madness. That's all the deaths from back in the day. What was it going to happen again? I suddenly felt a pain in my cheek. I reached up and saw that blood was coming out from the side of the bandage. The cut must have opened. As I took care of it, the red blood on my fingers stood out. Without warning, I felt a horrible sense of dread, like I was sinking into quicksand. Usually I love to have a mystery to solve, but now that the case was definitely real, I hesitated. For the rest of that night, I wasn't able to do any more research about the case.
was in college then. Now I'm unemployed and stay home all day. The fun's about to start again, huh? Shibuya's doomed. I'm Kei's dad. This means they'll cancel the Restoration Festival. You guys make me sick. People are dead. What the fuck are you so happy about? Oh yeah, the festival. Remember, the Restoration Festival was on that same date. 10, don't look at me. I call BS. I thought Kei was smarter than this. I'm disappointed. It's been 6 years, and it's time to drag this out again. It's the return of the new generation madness, and I can bear it. And I can't bear it. Return of the nude generation madness 1, don't look at me. Return of the nude generation madness 2, leaky noise. Return of the new generation madness 3, name coming soon. To be continued. Coco will do the same, but for a guy. What the fuck? October 1st, 2015, Thursday. I'm gonna save it there. I know it got really good, but we're gonna save it there. Because tomorrow's October 1st. I think we should play this tomorrow. Alright. So we're gonna leave it there for now, but it definitely got more interesting. Like I mentioned before, the festival was gonna happen on 10/10. So I'm assuming chapter 1 is gonna be from here on out until 10/10 inside of the game. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen in the next upcoming streams for Chaos Child. Hopefully we get to find some closure after this incident with the crime scene between Kurusu and Takeru. Same thing with all the other characters when they meet up again in school and see what's gonna happen and their preparations for the festival in their school and town. So yeah, we're gonna leave it there and see what's gonna happen next time. After this, we're probably gonna do either Black Desert. What time is it? 10:44 over here. Yeah, I'm gonna play Black Desert before I go to sleep, just so I don't lose time. But I do have new games for you guys. We're gonna play tomorrow. I'm gonna get home early. I might go get a haircut. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Okay. If you're new to the channel, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. And if you are already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that like button. With that being said, boys and girls, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave you with the outro, and I'll see you, boys and girls. As always, I appreciate your viewership, and don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help out my channel a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and check out that Ace Attorney game and see if they have it for the PS4. Finna receive that hairline even more. yeah, finna receive that hairline even more. Have a good one. See you in a bit. Peace.